Arch Manning today at the podium, been looking, he's about to talk. Here's Steve Sarkisian on his star quarterback. And he even, by the way, earlier today goes, I don't know where all these guys get all this information on me. I've played 2 games. Like, he's so humble. That's kind of who he is. Yeah, he's such an easygoing, mellow-mannered guy that he doesn't have to try too hard. I think him being himself at his core is what's going to be good enough for people to get a sense and a feel for who he is, and ultimately with his teammates, when you don't have to act and don't have to put on a front or something different than you are, it's just a lot easier. He's fortunate because he's such a good guy. He can just be just that, like that. So there we are with Steve Sarkisian on his quarterback, Arch Manning.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a quarterback with higher expectations ever, than Arch Manning. Like, not his uncles. I mean, there's been so many guys, 5 stars and all that. He just, because of his name, because of what his uncles did, because of what his grandfather did, because of where he is, there's just so much surrounding him. He seems to deal with the pressure well, but I'm wondering how, it all comes together. All the focus is on Arch, which is could be a good thing or a bad thing, for Texas.
I like the way he's handling it. Yeah. He surely doesn't put any extra pressure. He's the opposite of what someone like Diego Pavia, who's out there and also being very confident. Nothing wrong with that if you back it up. But Arch seems to get it, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the right background to be raised in the way that, it now comes across, as far as not being too, pressured, to not feel too nervous in front of the cameras, to not get too out of sorts about expectations. He seems to have an ability to block all of that out, and I think that comes directly from being part of a famous family who's been through this ringer before in more than one case. I mean, going back to his grandfather in multiple cases. So it's built into their DNA to be the center of attention, to be the star quarterbacks, and to be sitting there in front of a lot of cameras and eyes and people with these great lofty goals that people expect them to go and accomplish. And so I think that's all just now baked into the Manning DNA at this point. So when you get to like Arch's kid or the next wave, I'm sure they're going to be even more even keeled, just because that's how they kind of been bred at this point, for lack of a better term. But I mean, the history just runs so deep. I think it comes natural to the Manning boys at this stage. Now, you could always have your wild card, because that happens in families as well. Somebody breaks the mold and goes a different direction, but Arch very clearly is not going to be that guy. He's got a great focus about him, and I'm just very excited to see him play. I'm ready to hear more about him once he has stats and things to back up all of the talk. I'm not so much a fan of, at this stage, 2 years of talk, even though we have had a couple starts and he's played in some games and we've seen him. But to be like the guy and to just be the guy out there every Saturday, I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about Arch Manning and not so much the what ifs now. And so that's exciting. And yeah, it's a big day for him. And they already had a pool of reporters that were gathering before he even sat down at his little podium. So I'm sure he'll have a huge flock of media, and that will be the case for the next couple of years. And the more I think about it, the more I expect he's going to be around next year as well, even though I'm sure a lot of people will want to push him into the NFL draft, and already have in some cases before he's played all that much. But I don't know. He seems like a guy, because of that mentality we were talking about earlier, and doesn't have the pressure maybe some other guys have, that I think we're going to settle in and see play for Texas for a couple of years. And if he lives up to the billing, then, whoa, man, that's going to be something to talk about. And if he doesn't, that'll be something to talk about as well, because there's been so much talk already about